what got him into being an artist, right? What kind of art do you mostly do?
Mostly do oil paintings. Being an artist is interesting. If you go down that road, if you want to be a good artist, the one bit of advice I would say is to be prolific. It takes a long time to go through the process of learning your craft and then copying other people's styles, eventually arriving at your own style,
Right.
which which is difficult because there's so much art out there and there's so much good art out there to go out into that plethora of art and actually create something that is uniquely you is a bit tough to do.
Right. So you do mostly oil paintings and you are now moved kind of out west
Yeah.
and wondered what prompted that.
Oh, just a series of moves throughout my life. I
Right.
ended up in Salt Lake City recently. Who,
Right.
who knows where it'll be next year?
Right. I grew up around the military. You know, I'm a military brat. That's what I
Yeah,
call myself. Right. That's
yeah,
kind of how I ended up in Georgia. Right.
yeah.
And but yeah, we lived all over the place, but I still love exploring and it sounds like you do too, and that's why you're probably moving around.
Yes,
Right.
yeah, yeah. You bet.
Learning different things. And so your book Heal, is
Yeah.
it I noticed that it's in capital letters, capital H, capital EAL. Is it like an acronym or something?
No, no, it's not.
Okay.
There's I believe everybody deals with stress at some level. Some people worse than others.
Right.
Some people deal with forms of depression, which you could say are worse, etc. And then if you want to talk about trauma, you get into, let's say, the harder side of stress. And if you want to talk about trauma further, there are lots of different levels of trauma. And my story is going through a level of trauma as a little kid, like from age 3 to age 8. And I was unfortunately caught up in a horrible, abusive ring of child abusers.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And what happens, let's say, if you're a little kid, let's say, and you get abused, even hard stuff like you get raped as a little girl, and if right on the heels of that abuse, you have somebody to go to that loves you, because when you're abused and tortured and whatnot as a little kid, the one thing you want more than anything is safety. You do well if your abusers are your parents or your guardians or whatnot, and you have nobody to go to for that safety. Um, you will hold all of that abuse in your body. You will literally suppress it. People don't understand that it's not that you just hold the memory of that abuse. You hold every emotion of it. If you're scared, if you're feeling suffocated, if you're all the pain, if you're being tortured, all of it is stored in your body. Well, it gets worse than that. When
Right.
you're frightened to death as a little kid, that fight or flight panic response or freeze and whatnot, it shoots this adrenaline through your body, and adrenaline and cortisol, and it can help you get out of a jam in the short term. But when that happens over and over and over, it really is harmful to your body.
Right. And yeah, mind and body.
Yeah, all of that is stored, and if you don't have a way to release it, like if you're a little kid and you get abused and you can find safety, you can literally release it at that age. But if not, you store it, and then it's not uncommon in those extreme situations that later into adulthood, often with men, it's around your 50s that it all comes tumbling back for various reasons. Women seems to come back a little sooner, but when it comes tumbling back for whatever reason, all of that comes back, and it is absolutely horrible. It's horrific because you feel all of the emotion, all of the scare. It affects your body the same way. The harmful hormones come pushing out through your adrenal glands into your system, and you have to relive all of that. Well, there are various versions of that, and many people, unfortunately, they'll turn to addictions, to alcohol, pornography, drugs, etc., to try to mitigate it or mask it or whatever. And that just doesn't work. That only exacerbates the problem because you have to deal with the trauma on top of dealing with your other addictions if you choose to
Right.
go there. And unfortunately, many resort to suicide. to find a way out. And equally unfortunate, many never heal, and they spend their whole life dealing with this, and then they die, which is very unfortunate. And so my book chronicles this whole process of trauma, explaining a whole lot about it, what it is, how it works, how it reacts, etc. And then the last half of my book is 22 stories. I went through hundreds of these, but I picked 22 actual traumatic events I went through and how I healed. And the healing process is often confusing too, because many of the psychologists and psychiatrists and therapists and whatnot have different opinions on how to heal. Some go through talk therapy. Many talk about physical body things, tapping, breathing exercises, EMDR, which is basically physical ways of keeping you grounded when you go back into that past story and relive it and face it and whatnot. And so there's a lot of confusion about how to heal. And so I addressed that. I addressed what worked for me, and I actually healed. And so this idea that your show is primarily about is facing tough things and having courage and overcoming. Well,
Right.
it's exactly that. You do have to face them.
I'm glad you pointed out that everybody's response is gonna be different,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
And it has a lot to do with your support. Like you said, if it's your parents, you're not really gonna have someone to go to.
No, well, especially in those younger
Yeah.
years. And as you know, when your brain's developing from about age 0 to age 8, if this stuff is happening to you, then it has a more dramatic effect because it's in those years that we are literally soaking in everything around us.
Yeah, and your brain's developing.
Yeah,
Your
yeah,
thoughts, your feelings, and you're
yeah.
saying all this. Wow, that it is amazing, and I noticed too that, more people are going to become psychologists. You think it's just more prevalent? I should say prevalent. People are just been suppressing it and not talking about it. And you're being brave to share your story. You think I just know so many people that are becoming psychologists. You think I was just wondering, you think they have had issues
I
or
think
something?
many have actually, um, but still, once again, there are levels of abuse, right? And so
Yes.
little Susie, for instance, she can be on the playground and kids come and bully her and embarrass her or pull her pants down or something. And that
Different.
trauma, though it's not rape or there's no blood and da da da, that is a form of trauma, and that can literally stick with little Susie, and she could become an adult and have a fear of speaking in front of people for whatever reason.
Right? That's a good point.